Good morning, everyone, and welcome to NAACP's 16th Annual Martin Luther King's Breakfast. My name is Renee Perkins, and I am a member of the NAACP, and I am the chair of the Health Committee for the Carroll County branch. It has been an honor to work within and serve the community, and this morning we would like to thank you all for coming to attend. We would like you all to mingle, enjoy the entertainment, the speakers, and the wonderful breakfast that has been prepared. We hope that you all have a great time and you leave here with your stomachs full and your hearts even fuller. So enjoy.
The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort or convenience, but where he stands in time of challenge and controversy. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. My name is Diane Hurd, and I am a member of I'm a member of the Carroll County NAACP, and I am a member of the executive board. And I am happy to be here this morning. I am your mistress of ceremony, and I would like to start with inviting Chaplain Kevin Dayhoff up for the invocation.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see everyone. Can we please rise for an invocation? Let's bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we know you by many names. You are a constant source of wisdom, courage, and perseverance. We come here this morning in the memory of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King through your common call to service to our community and our country. As we begin our fellowship this morning, we seek your guidance and counsel so that we may continue to do the work of Dr. King in our community in his memory. We thank you for the blessings that we enjoy by being together as one. We thank you for your gifts of love and grace that we may share with one another. Bless our children and their parents, our schools, our teachers, and all those who have given of their time and talents to develop our future leaders as responsible adults. Join us as we put on the whole armor of God. Keep our community safe. We lift up all our brothers and sisters who work for peace and justice in our community. We lift up all who appreciate our work and support us as we work towards Dr. King's beloved community. We lift up into your loving arms all our brothers and sisters who are first responders in law enforcement, emergency medical services, and the fire service. We give thanks to those who are serving our country in the military. Help us remember that our blessings are great. Help us embrace those blessings and watch for you. We thank you for the privilege and the honor of serving our community and the many ways in which you reveal yourself to us. Bless this time, bless this food, and the hands that prepared it. Bless our time together for fellowship. Amen. I get a hug. Good job.
I would like to now introduce Ms. Virginia Harrison, former board member and NAACP Silver Life member.
Good morning. Get in front of the microphone. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Lockard. Dr. Stephen Lockard began a 4-year term as superintendent of Carroll County Public School in July 2018. Dr. Lockard grew up here in Carroll County, where his father, Dr. Brian Lockard, served as superintendent from 1994 to 1998. After graduating from Westminster High School, Dr. Lockard earned a Bachelor of Science in Early Childhood Education from Frostburg State University, Master of Science in School Administration from Western Maryland College, now known as McDaniel, and a PhD in Organizing, Leadership, and Policy Studies from the University of Maryland. I'm sorry, my printer didn't work this morning. It's kind of hard for me to see this. Dr. Lockard began his career as a teacher in Frederick County Public School in 1992 and went on to serve as assistant principal and then as principal of two-year elementary school. He was named the director of elementary school and Title I, and then served as the associate superintendent for elementary school improvement, instruction and administration, and deputy superintendent. Dr. Lockard was named deputy superintendent of Fairfax County Public School in Fairfax, Virginia in 2014, and also served that district as interim superintendent before returning home to Carroll County Public School. Dr. Lockard and his wife Patty, a preschool teacher, has 3 kids. I want to welcome you, Dr. Lockard.
Hey, good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you so much, Gene, and the NAACP for inviting me to be with you this morning in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. When Gene called me and asked if I could speak and spend some time talking about some of the things that are underway in Carroll County Public Schools, some of our challenges and the work ahead, I said I'd be happy to. And so now I have the next 14 to 18 hours to go through all that with you, because there's a lot of things that are happening. I will try to condense it as best I can and hit some of the highlights for you. First, as Virginia described, I am a Carroll County native. I'm proud of my Carroll County roots. And I really never went that far. And I've maintained family and friendships through all the years, even though I've worked in a couple of different places. Carroll County, in my heart, has always been my home. And I am so proud to serve. I love this quote by Dr. King because it really boils it down to what I see as our role, particularly in education, and that's to serve. We serve our students first. We serve our school communities, and broadly, we serve our Carroll County community. And so I can't tell you how honored and thrilled I am to be able to come back to a system, to a community that means so much to me, to be able to serve in this capacity. I'm very humbled by the opportunity. Before I get too much further, I do want to also give one more shout out to Alina. Awesome job, Alina, very talented Winters Mill High School student. So I think we might have to have you come kick off some of our board meetings, maybe. That would be awesome. All right. First, I want to say thank you to the NAACP, not only for this opportunity to speak, but for all that you do in our community, particularly for Carroll County Public Schools. I could have 10 slides here, but there are so many ways in which your advocacy and your support impact our school system. We have an education that's multicultural committee that meets on a regular basis that really helps drive a lot of the important work that happens in our system. Many community meetings, events that support our schools. The NAACP has a great presence and active involvement in many of those meetings and events that really support our system. Your presence and your advocacy at our school board meetings are very well appreciated. The voice of advocacy for our students in our community and our schools. The representing and assisting, we do lots of events within our school, like our Carroll County Public Schools Culture Expo, and that support and advocacy has been very much appreciated. And certainly, the scholarship opportunities that you provide for our students as well. So again, this is a very tiny list of many things that the NAACP does to support our school system and our students, and I just am here to say thank you and let you know how appreciative we are of that. We have a lot to be proud of in Carroll County Public Schools, a lot to be proud of. This is a great school system. When I was a kid growing up here, a student here, a graduate of Westminster High School, I knew this to be true. I knew it not because my dad worked for the school system, but because I felt it firsthand. I interacted with the teachers and the staff and the community members and the people that dedicated all their time and energy and efforts to support students in meeting their goals. And so it was filled with great people. And when I came back, and again, I've been watching it from not that far away and rooting for Carroll County Public Schools the whole time, I see it firsthand again. We were just talking at our table about some of the connections that I've reestablished from being back in our schools in this capacity. And I see the hardworking, dedicated, talented folks that make up our system. I also see an incredible community partnership. I've been a couple other places. I'll talk about that in just a second. And there is a great thing that exists here between agencies and community groups that you don't see everywhere. I see it with our county government and their agencies. I see it with nonprofits in Carroll County, and everybody comes to the table to work together to find ways to support students, families, our community in general, and that's pretty special. And so I'm really happy to be a part of that. Like I said, didn't go too far. I went to neighboring Frederick County to be I started as a teacher, and that was my passion, and I still feel like I'm a teacher at heart. And I did several, as Virginia described, I had several different roles in that school system there, 20-some years in Frederick County Public Schools, and then got an opportunity to learn, to grow, to try something new, a whole different state. So I traveled down 270 every day, which was a bit of a challenge, and learned a ton in a very diverse school system in Fairfax County, 190,000 students. And what I learned there was the diversity of that system was its greatest strength. And I'm proud to bring those experiences and those learnings here to Carroll County, because I believe our diversity can be our greatest strength as well. I want to talk a little bit about our schools in general, and I want to just show you a little bit of information. So as I said, I think we've got a great school system, and you can look at lots of different measures. You can look at SAT scores, and you can look at different results that we sort of analyze and look at. One of the ones you hear a lot about is the state assessment scores and the subsequent report card that the state has just put out. You've heard about schools being starred, like a 4-star or 5-star. All schools in Carroll County Public Schools, with the exception of a couple of alternative, and they're calculated a little bit differently, but schools are 4 and 5, okay? And that's really great, okay? You look, yes. But I'm also interested in sort of peeling the layers of the onion back and taking a deeper look, because I'm interested in maintaining that status, but I'm also interested in making sure that we get better and that every student in our system has a chance to meet with success. Because sometimes our overall aggregate scores might mask or hide some of the challenges or issues that we face. And so when you start to disaggregate the data that we have, you sometimes see some disparities between student groups. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about today, and then also talk to you about some of the things that we're doing to address that. Again, by and large, we have an outstanding school system, but I don't want to rest on that. I want to get better. So I want to share with you a little bit. Again, this is just one snapshot of data. There's tons of different things that we can collect and look at and measure. So this is just one piece. And it's data from last year, okay? So I arrived in July. I've been here about 6 months. So this is last school year's data. It's the most recent data that we have. And I'm going to show you what's been called the PARCC exam. Students starting in 3rd grade on start to take that in math and language arts or English. And I want to show you some comparisons between our overall aggregate, and I'm going to use the Black or African American student group to show you what I mean by some of the disparities that we are wanting to work on. So this is math data from last year, and you can see these percentages are the percentages of students that demonstrate proficiency on the PARCC exam. Now, it's a very rigorous exam. Carroll County Public Schools finished at the top in most areas on the PARCC exam. And sadly, you can see the disparities between the aggregate and then the Black or African American students. Sadly, even our minority group still finished near the top in just about every category, but to me, that's unacceptable. Okay, that's math. And you can see where we have our work cut out for us. That's English Language Arts PARCC data. Again, same assessment, different content. But again, when you look at our student groups across the state, we did extremely well compared to other counties in Maryland. Like I said, near the top. However, I'm not willing to accept that. It needs to improve. It needs to be better. So what do we do about that? I want to thank our Board of Education and our community at large for the work around our strategic plan. When I arrived, the board was looking at putting together a plan for the future that would help encapsulate some of the things that the community feels are important, capture that sort of input and flavor of what's most important for students in Carroll County Public Schools. And that plan is broken into 4 big areas. The first talks about sort of our student achievement, our pathways for students to be successful. The second really looks at our community at large. It's important for our families and our communities to be engaged and involved in our school system. The third, we look at our own workforce, right? How do we put together a top-notch workforce so that every teacher standing in front of students is the best one that we can have in our school system? And a safe and secure environment. We need to make sure that we have safety and security as a umbrella, if you will, over everything so that students can learn and teachers can teach. 4 big areas. And then we started to boil down some of those areas into things that we felt were important. Now, I'm not going to get into the strategic plan with you and all the priority areas and objectives, but what I do want to tell you is that permeating that plan and the objectives and focus areas that we've looked at are significant items related to student achievement, eliminating disparities, equity, access, diversity, minority hiring, and a culturally competent workforce. Okay? We've purposefully put those into our plan across all those 4 pillars that I just showed you because we know it's a need so that all of our students can be successful in Carroll County Public Schools. I love this quote too. So it's one thing to show you data and say, look, we have some challenges and some disparities we have to work on. It's another to say, we put together this plan, okay, but we can't stop there. So we have to recognize and realize our issues and challenges. We have to face them head on. We put it right out there, okay? We're developing that plan to address them, and we absolutely must have the courageous conversations about race, about equity, about access, and about achievement in order to move the needle and move our system forward. We can't just put on paper and say this is important without really diving into it and having those conversations. So let me tell you a little bit about what we've been doing and where we're headed. So unfortunately, Judy Jones couldn't be here this morning. Judy is our supervisor of equity, and she's been doing an incredible amount of work with a team of folks out in our schools. Judy she's a superhero in my book, but she's one person, okay? And our work in this area can't be one person. Okay? It needs to be our collective school system. So we've started at the top. I appreciate our school board. Just this past week at a retreat, we we did a first session because we have kind of a newer board. We have 3 new members, and we thought this would be a good time to retreat and talk about some of our roles and responsibilities. But we purposefully put some cultural competency training, the first piece of that, on because we need the work to not emanate from a piece of paper or not emanate from a data chart. We need it to emanate from the people in our system. And so our school board has started that conversation along with me. Our cabinet, we've had several now, a series of trainings and work that's happening. So our senior leadership also is owning, understanding, and supporting the work of our strategic plan across our system, as well as all staff. Okay, so one of the things that we started, and I was told it hasn't been done in 20 years, but we started it, is we've been bringing together all of our leadership, from our principals and assistant principals, to our transportation staff leaders, to our curriculum leaders, to our maintenance leaders. We've been bringing all of those leaders together. We'll be meeting next Friday again, when the students are off of school that day, to support the work, to continue to set expectations, to build our capacity and understanding about the work ahead, to make sure everybody who works in our school system knows what their role and responsibility is as it relates to supporting our strategic plan, how they best support it, and so that we can hold each other accountable for results. In addition, we have made a slight change to our organizational structure. So I told you, hey, here's our challenge. We have some data. We know that there's these disparities. We've created a plan in our strategic plan. We've started lots of conversations with leadership from all over our system, including our board and our cabinet level folks. We've built actions and strategies in, but I felt like, again, Judy Jones, she's a superhero, but we need to make sure that everybody supports this work. So we used some existing positions to create more or less a new division of our school system in school performance, equity, and accountability. So I really felt like we needed to make sure that we had resources in our system to support the work that has to happen to help all of our students be successful. And I can't tell you how excited I am to have been able to bring on Jason Anderson. He's our Executive Director of School Performance, Equity, and Accountability. I am going to ask Jason to come up here and talk a bit because there are so many exciting things happening underway to support all of our students' achievement. We know we have areas where we have to improve. We know we have some disparities in our student achievement. And so we're not going to sit around and hope that, well, just because we put it on paper and just because we started to have conversations and just because we've been bringing leaders together that something magically happens. We need some action. And this is one of the best action people that I know. He's only been with us since November, but I feel like he's accomplished a ton, and I've asked him to say a few words just about the work ahead in Carroll County Public Schools. And Jason, if you would, come on up. Yep.
So that was interesting. What I took from that is that Dr. Lockard said that in true business fashion that he consolidated a number of positions, and here I am. I am very clear that there was a number of positions out there that I'm now responsible for in the work. So for those that I have not met, and I've met a number of you, and it's so nice to see a number of you again. My name is Jason Anderson, and I arrived here about 6 weeks ago. In this short amount of time, I've had the opportunity to sit down with many of you and spend time with many of you, learning about who you are, learning about the history of Carroll County. Working with Judy Jones has been a pleasure. Spending mornings with Virginia Harrison and having a coffee at 7:15 in the morning, so she's giving my marching orders, has been a pleasure. spending time with our board, listening to the interests that they have, their frustrations, their interests has been a pleasure of mine. And I want to make it very, very clear to this community is that I am here to serve this community. And I know, and I am very clear, that we can't move fast enough. I'm very clear on that. And I'm also very clear that we have a number of community members that people are already feeling comfortable with me because I'm getting emails already about, we need to worry about this group and this group of students and this group of students, and we need to make sure that this happens, and I can't agree more. In fact, I'm just going to ask you to keep sending it because it just continues to ignite me. Now, a lot of you are looking at this guy that's standing up here right now, and he can't be for real, right? He's pretty good. He can talk fast, whatever. He's full of air. But the one thing I will tell you is that I've spent my career in public education serving those that have historically been underperforming across this country. And let me give you a quick snippet of what I've done so you know, to hopefully build some sort of credibility for being up here right now, because it's obvious I'm not as good looking, as smart. I don't have as many degrees. He is my boss, so I'm going to say those things. But the reality is this. Serving as a teacher, teaching kids how to read, being an intervention teacher, working in the high schools, teaching high school kids how to read, then being a principal, working in Title I schools where there was 27 different languages in my building, and I was fluent in all of them but 26. I was the principal that would communicate non-verbally. I was the principal that would drive the child home because no one was picking them up, and I was probably breaking some sort of policy there, and I apologize for that back then. I left public service and I went on to the private sector where I was the vice president of Hope Mifflin Harcourt. And you guys have probably heard of that company, yes? It's one of the largest publishing companies in the world. I don't know how I got the job, but I got it. And I enjoyed it for 4 years, where I worked with school districts all over this country. And here's what I learned, that Carroll County is no different than anywhere else in this country right now. We have big obstacles in front of us, huge obstacles. The assessments are becoming more arduous. There's no doubt about it. The coursework is becoming more difficult. And in many cases, the disparities are increasing. The haves are having more, and the have-nots aren't getting their share. And I'm not saying this because I want to run for office, because I don't. But what I'm saying this for is because that I truly believe that what we're dealing with here is not a cognitive issue. I'm going to let you know right now that I am going to take action. And Dr. Lockard has advised me, take it easy. I want you here. But, if we're going to fail, we need to fail fast and we need to fail forward. We need to try again. We need to get up. We need to keep going because what we've been doing is not working, right? So I am listening. We are listening. After returning from the private sector, I landed in Anne Arundel County, where I worked with Dr. Arlotto there, and he had come from Montgomery County, and it was a very diverse student population, and there were struggles just in my 3 years that I was out of public service. What I came back to, it was like a different world. The needs of kids, the intensity of the issues, it's amazing, and it's sad. And so what I do know is that we're not going to be able to do this. I wish we could teach our way out of this. But I don't think it's going to be that easy, unfortunately. So what we are doing is we are listening. We are trying to understand what the issues are. The issues that when I leave here today, that I go home to my son and my wife, and I'm going to watch a basketball game on my nice big flat screen television, sit on my nice comfy couch. I don't have 2 other families living with me. Okay? We have to build this capacity of our teachers and our leaders in our building to understand the child that we're teaching now. And Judy does a great job of starting the conversation. We had an amazing conversation at the board retreat the other day. It was fascinating, and people were vulnerable with one another, and they weren't afraid to offend one another. And that's the first step, is to be able to listen and know that it's in a safe environment. So I do want to understand. And we are acting with the purest intentions. I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to make a lot of mistakes. And I hope I don't offend anyone, and I hope my team doesn't offend anyone. but it is time to take the numbers that Dr. Lockard talked about and turn them into names. I need to know who the children are. And as I've got to visit many schools, not as many as Ms. Herbert, apparently, because she's out there every day, but here's what I hear from principals when I ask about our African American achievement, or I ask about our Hispanic Latino descent achievement. You know, Jason, yeah, we know we have issues, but we have so few in our school. I understand it's not 27 different languages. It's not 90% free and reduced meal. I understand. That's a luxury. That's fantastic. But it's a different type of burden now, right? I call them in meetings the asterisk children. That means in the public service sector, because there's less than 10 of those types of students in your school, it doesn't have a large impact on your school performance. So unintentionally, I am certain, because people care, that it's not having the impact on you as a school. So unintentionally, it doesn't drive a lot of focus at times. So what we're doing now in our department is that we will, when you look at that 40%, I want to know the other 60%. I want to know what their names are. I want to know what school they go to. I want to know what their course schedule is. I want to know exactly what type of access we're providing them. So over the next 6 months, the first thing we're going to focus on is educational policy. I'm talking about the equity policy. I'm talking about the community engagement policy. I'm talking about the policies to provide access to our students. Because what we're seeing now is that we will continue to build capacity and understanding how to have those courageous conversations and learn how to communicate with one another. And that's all very, very important. But what we need to spend some more time on is, if you look at the fourth bullet down, is access to a well-rounded curriculum. Because as Dr. Lockard said, man, we look great when it comes to the aggregate and how our scores are number one, and we should be very proud of that. But when you look at our students graduating and access to a well-rounded curriculum, we sit in the middle of the state. And that is having students have the opportunity to take an AP course, having students have the opportunity for dual enrollment. We have something very exciting going on right now with dual enrollment in Carroll Community College, where now, back in the day, we'd have to make sure that we had the car, or my dad could hook me up with a car where I could drive to the community college and get my dual enrollment credit. Now, we are going to actually have the class being taught in the high school. And you said, well, in a couple of schools I've heard about that. But here's the difference, is that we are going to have our high school teachers that historically have been teaching AP, and they're like, I teach 4 AP courses, and they're, all the kids' moms are sitting at the pool in the summer, and my kid's in 7 AP courses. That is fantastic. But a lot of kids aren't going to the 4-year university any longer, and a lot of kids don't have the GPA to get into those courses, and a lot of kids were like me, where my family wasn't college educated, but they knew I should be, and I was carrying that 2.8 my first couple years because it was school, whatever. But that now, if you have a 2.5, that you can go ahead and have and enroll in a dual enrollment course and have it taught in your high school, where you don't need a car to drive it to the community college. And guess what? For practice, you don't have to come back from community college for your practice or your recital or your rehearsal or your course practice. You are still part of the school community, and you're gaining access to that dual enrollment. In addition to that, our CTC Center is a luxury. It is amazing, and we need to expand it. And we need to look at how students can get in and how they qualify, right? Because what we've done unintentionally is created these barriers for kids to have this access. And it's been, when it comes down to it, it's been kind of our fault, unintentionally. But we're going to change it. Okay, we're going to open it up a little bit. We're going to provide more access for kids so they can see a light at the end of the tunnel. So they get excited, because if they take 1 or 2 dual enrollment courses in high school, and I got a B, then they're going to stick with it. And they're going to continue when they graduate. And they may get their AA in a year. In some districts where I've worked, some kids left with their AA. So we're very excited about that. Student voice is everything. Judy Jones and I have already started setting this up. We're going to be going out and we're going to get this idea. We're going to be talking to kids. We're going to learn from them on what we should be doing. We're going to hear from them what the reality is. There's my reality, there's your reality, and then there's the reality of the student that walks the halls every day. We're going to get that from them. And then finally, local ministries. I'll be meeting with Virginia this coming week and Judy Jones, where it's time for us not to always accept everything to come to the school, but it's time for us to go out to the community and meet with some of our black ministries to find out how it is that we can get engaged with the African American community in a more effective way, where we can get more engagement and more buy-in from not just with the African American community, but with our Hispanic and Latino community as well. That is the answer, is the partnership. Again, it's not a cognitive issue. And finally, a performance academy. Each school next year will have a team of 5 teachers. We will meet 3 times a year. We will focus not only on the equity issues, but we will be focusing on the G&T issues as well. We'll be focusing on our special ed issues as well. And it'll be this solutions team that comes together. We look at data, we look at names, we go back, and we have a plan of exactly what we're going to be doing over the next 3 months. We come back together. Is it having any impact? Because our strategic plan is very good, and I realize it's been a work in progress, but it is very high level. And as Dr. Lockard said, the details are at the school level, and that's where we want to be. So, as Dr. Lockard likes to say, I do believe together it's possible. Thank you for listening to me. I'm sorry if I ramble, but I get very excited about it. And it's a pleasure to be here this morning, and I can't wait to serve this community. Yeah.
I just want to thank Jason again. He didn't have any coffee this morning, in case you were wondering. Yeah, I said you didn't have any coffee this morning, in case you were wondering. You should see him when he does. I really wanted Jason to share a little bit of the excitement that's happening in our school system and the thinking that's happening moving forward. He referenced a couple of these things at the end, and again, just to spare you, it being a 14-hour presentation, there is work underway with advanced academics or gifted and talented, as well as special education. We're very excited about the opportunity to serve all of our students in Carroll County Public Schools. I really appreciate you giving me an opportunity and Jason an opportunity to share some of that excitement with you. Jean, thank you so much for the invitation. It is our honor and our pleasure to serve this community. Hope you have a great rest of the morning and a great weekend. Thank you so much.
I was definitely surprised by the numbers that were placed on the board this morning. I moved to this county 15 years ago with 2 daughters in tow. They've gone through the Carroll County public school system. And one of the reasons we moved to Carroll County was because of the Carroll County public school systems. So I'm excited that you guys are excited. I'm excited that I was here to hear what you have planned for our minority students in this county. And in any way that I can help, please know that I am here to help. And I know that the NAACP is here to help as well. So thank you both for your time and your energy and your efforts. Now I would like to introduce Ms. Jean Lewis, the president of the NAACP Carroll County chapter.
I just want to thank you for coming and sharing this with the community. I've been sitting through these meetings, the Education as Multicultural meeting and attending the board meetings. I have one request. Please no more 5-hour Board of Education meetings.
We're working on that actively.
I went home after 3 hours because I was afraid that I would get up and act like the angry black woman and I have to be escorted out. I've been asked if I, at other meetings when I have said controversial things and asked a member of the community to stay because he always made a statement and he hit and ran. They were very negative statements, so I asked him to stay to hear what I had to rebuke what he said. And Dwayne had to walk me to my car. And so I didn't want him to have to escort me because I had not acted like a lady. So that's my one request.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, I just want to give you a small token of our appreciation. And I'm so glad that you were our choice to be our superintendent of schools. This young man and my youngest son played baseball together.
I'm sure there's pictures somewhere.
And I thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much. Thank you very much.
We have come today to celebrate Dr. King's birthday, the goals he set for America and the world. Let us not go back to what is now being called making America great again. When all people could not drink out of the water fountains, had to sit in the balcony of movie theaters. I did it, so I know that's true. We attended segregated schools. We could not eat in all restaurants. And most importantly, our ability to vote was limited. And much more because of the color, and much of this was because of the color of our skin. These were some of the issues the civil rights movement was about. I want to tell you that it was said, if we don't work together, we will perish as fools. So that's something that has to take place now. We can't have this push to take us back to where we were over 50 years ago.
Amen.
In addition, I want to, we have a representative here from Senator Van Holden's office. He was a little late, he had another appointment, and to get here from Montgomery County took him a little bit of time. Many of you know Betty Lee, that is an ex officio member because of her health now, she's not very active. We got a phone call yesterday morning, and I had told everybody in the meeting, she was a health chair, and I had told everyone in the meeting she was going to be here today. Well, unfortunately, we got a call yesterday that her youngest son has passed. So just keep her in your prayers. And I know, Matt, you always like to sit with us because Betty, when comments were made, Betty would say what she felt. And it was very interesting, and he had not. It was the kind of the atmosphere of going to a black church, sitting with Betty Lee. So anyone who's it's call and response is what it's called, and that's what Betty was, call and response. And she was my ride or die when we went to the to the Republican breakfast. If no one else from the organization was able to come, there was Betty and myself, we were there. I'd also like to thank Carroll County Democratic Central Committee and the Carroll County Republican Central Committee are here today. Penguin Random House is one of our advocates. They sponsor us for everything. Strawbridge United Methodist Church are sponsors. Of course, the Board of Education. And our dear Cindy Pell, who recently lost her husband, and she has been with our scholarship program since its inception. And our dear friend Lynn Wheeler, our retired director from Carroll County Public Library. And we hated to see Lynn go, but her replacement, I think, is going to work out really well. The elected officials that are here to help us celebrate this day. Carroll Magazine, I don't see his name right next to me. The Media Center is always here, and they always cover us. So you can look at Channel 19. At some point, I'll get a call from Aaron and say, the program is up, and there's Aaron over there. A point I want to make is about our scholarship that we give every year. The scholarship information is in the schools. It's gone to Judy Klinger, who is the head of counselors. So if a student goes to the counselor's office in their schools, that scholarship information should be there. Not only that, not just ours, but the former students of Moton's, and we have a representative from that organization. And they have more money than we have because they give out a $3,000 scholarship and a $2,000 scholarship. And I also want to thank Point Breeze Credit Union because they came to our Christmas event and made a donation of $2,500 toward our scholarship program. Coming on February the 4th at 6 o'clock at Carroll Arts Center, we will be celebrating our 5th African American Read-In. It's all the students from Carroll Public High Schools get a chance to participate in all the works that they do, written or dance or songs, are from African American writers. And it's been a wonderful event. I would encourage you to get there early because the last two, it was standing around the room only. But it's such a wealth of what it's going to be about. And one of our members of the organization, our youth member who is a life member, Stan, Jordan's picture was on the a couple of weeks ago on the front of the Carroll County Times that has participated, and I'm sure you're doing it again this year. Okay. And also, the students from Silver Oak Academy will be part of that event. And it's a very nice event. The students of Silver Oak Academy will be celebrating their Black History Month, February 26th, and the program starts at 6 o'clock, and I believe there's a flyer on the tables for you all to participate in, to be a part of. I just want to thank everyone for coming this morning. We look forward to this event. The money from this event we use to fund our scholarships, along with people who have funded us in the past. Has been, of course, I've mentioned Cindy Pell's Pell Collection, Random House, the Westminster Kiwanis Club. Try not to make sure I don't miss anybody. But they've made contributions. So if anybody would like to make a contribution in any denomination, Vaughn Paler is our treasurer, and he'd be more than willing to give that. And excuse me, the Carroll County Democratic Central Committee made a contribution for $100 in Doug Metz's memory. And like I said, I'd like to thank everybody. Now remember, the third week in October is our Freedom Fund banquet, and we look forward to you coming. And if you have any suggestions of someone we could get with a speaker, let us know. We'll take that under advisement. Pam, would you like to come up? We're going to sing We Shall Overcome. And this is a song that was sung at the civil rights movements, at the marches. Okay. Let's do it this way. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I know that I'd like to call Reverend Erin Snell from St. Paul's United Church of Christ, and she's a chair of the Carroll Citizens for Racial Equality. Okay.
Thank you, Jean. We spent this morning honoring Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., considering his legacy and reaching into a future our young people will know. Let us continue to celebrate the work and legacy of the youth and young adults whose lives contributed to the civil rights of all people. Let us be encouraged by the creativity, energy, gifts, and skills of the youth and young adults in our community. Let those of us in this room who benefit from a power given to us due to our gender, class, sexuality, color, cultural background, faith, let us not silently accept the privileges of such power. Instead, let us work diligently for social change that King envisioned, social change that honors the worth and dignity of each and every person. Let us not be resigned to the way things are, telling ourselves, wait, now is not the time. Let us remember that King made it clear that it is always the time to challenge injustice with word and direct action. Now is always the time to speak up when others are put down. Now is always the time to do justice. Let us be courageous enough to be open to experiences different from our own, to learn to do better and be better, so that we may walk in the light of understanding that does not contribute to the oppression of others. As we leave this morning, may we be well and do well. Let us journey from here as a people on many paths, with many beliefs, but all connected and bound together by the great mystery of our existence, by the spirit of love. Let us go in peace. Amen.